Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I'm your host, David Strege, and here I have another review for you, this time of a film that was filmed in 2018 by the Kondelik Brothers, James and John Kondelik, who worked with production companies, Dual Visions, and Automatic Entertainment to bring about this film called Jurrasic Galaxy. Now, in France, it was released as Jurassic Planet, but in the U.S., it is known as Jurrasic Galaxy. And the film stars, these are the main characters: Eric Paul Erickson as Marston, Madison West as Daisy, and we have another character that plays Lifer. At least that's what kind of personnel he is, by Jonathan Nation, who plays Flynn. And the film is set in the near future, and whatever happens, evidently there's a ship of space explorers, and they crash land on an unknown planet, and the ship is, when it crashes in two separate areas. And we have a security personnel person, which is Marston, played by Eric Paul Erickson, and later on we find out that he actually boarded the Galileo, or I think that's the name of the ship that they were on, because he had cancer or whatnot. And Madison West plays Daisy, which she is a second class flight attendant. So she wasn't exactly the person who was piloting the ship, but because the crash survivors crashed in several different places, some of them were unhappy about crashing and unaware why they crashed. But apparently there was a way to get off the planet if they end up finding the ass end of the the ship, because evidently there is a one-man piloted vessel to be able to uh, get off the planet and um, get back to civilization. But the planet that they crash landed on is filled with dinosaurs, CGI raptors, and pretty convincing um, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Um, so when they start to gather some of the hurt survivors, those victims end up falling to become the meat of some of these velociraptors that are relatively CGI'd. I mean, you can tell that they are CGI'd, but they're not as terrible as some of the sci-fi movies that I have seen before, where they're more transparent than anything else. When you get a glance at some of these predators from the side view, they look really real and lifelike. It's not until, like, say, they go and attack you that you start to see the CGI ness of these um, creatures. You can definitely tell that this was a low budget. You could tell that the script needed some work. There was a lot of time spent on them trying to get to where they needed to go. Like, there were 5 minutes of them just walking. It kind of reminded me of the moments that were unnecessary and but I guess necessary in Lord of the Rings, when they kept changing scene to scene to show that they were journeying quite some distance to get some places. And you start out with the first two characters, Daisy and Harris, getting together, and they come across Flynn, the lifer, apparently near the front end of the craft, and they try to save a victim by the name of Corrigan, who was played by Ryan Buds, and apparently much of his lower half is um, damaged, and when they have their backs turned, that's when the first dinosaur shows up, and it shows up with a near close shot where its head is facing Daisy, and um, from that side view, you can definitely see that they tried to make these dinosaurs as much real as they could, probably, and they did spend. I do think that they did spend some money on these CGI dinosaurs. So there's also a scene where they are being chased by a T-Rex, which the T-Rex shows up later, and of course, you're never gonna get another dinosaur movie entirely like Jurassic Park. Um, no one has even come close to that um, level of realness, at least to me. At least the Jurassic Park series of films. Um, I have not seen that level of detail, although this one comes close. I mean, it's still not Jurassic Park. It will never replace Jurassic Park. Uh, to me, the characters Yeah, the actors acted, uh, at least Madison West and Paul Erickson and Jonathan Nation were able to act exactly. They acted like think they needed to. I do think that Tamara Slayer, who played Gail, was a little bit overacting on her part, especially when her husband died. That was an extreme reaction, and getting mad at Madison's character, Daisy, thinking that she had piloted the thing down and blaming her for her husband's death. Um, that was kind of out of the ordinary. Um, but I do kind of like the fact that there was a human character by the name of Wretch, played by Frankie Ray, and evidently he's like one of the guys in here that has actually been in the independent business for quite some time, um, since the '90s, when he starred in a B movie called Prison Planet. And of course, Killers was a movie that ended up on the blockbuster shelves. Cookers, he was in How the Grinch Stole Christmas as one of the Who's in Whoville. So I guess having him as a, I think he's like one of the characters that the directors really fleshed out really well. He is this survivor, has been alone for many years, and obviously, when someone's been alone for many years, sometimes it changes a person, and maybe it wasn't entirely his fault that he ended up becoming the cannibal that he was found out to be, but you almost kind of feel sorry for him in a sense, because it seems like he regrets that he had to do what he had to do to survive, and I think he just doesn't want to be alone anymore, so he chooses the best female that seems to suit his needs and takes off after the ship. And maybe in his own quintessential mind, he doesn't want to leave. He just doesn't want to be alone. He's survived on this planet for so long. It is like his home, even though um, he spoke like, well, Wretch finally gets to go home, and he smiled a little bit. He spoke in the first person dialogue, but yeah, I guess I would have liked to have seen some of the other characters survive, but like one of the other characters instead of the one that did. Uh, but it was an interesting film. The dinosaurs were a lot better than I thought that they would be. I mean, they're not quite Jurassic Park, but they're not bad either, at least to me. And I've seen some of the other uh, bad reviews about this film. Um, I can't see this being as bad as people say it is. Um, there were some very beautiful scenes that were on the planet. I mean, there was that rock that looked like a dinosaur skeleton head. There was there were moons that could be seen in the sunset. There was a planet that could be seen in the twilight, um, night time, and these are things that people tend to not realize are normally not in the background. So to me, the even though it was a low budget and you could tell that it was done on a low budget, I thought that the scenery was quite beautiful around around the characters. I mean, normally you just see the same rocks, but I saw several different areas that were unique. So I I can't entirely say that this is a bad film, nor is it a masterpiece. But I did enjoy it, and it was entertaining the second time around. The first time, I had a problem with how long they were journeying. Because first they were journeying a little bit to get to where Harris and what's her name were, the one that survived, Gail, and then they were journeying again, and then they were journeying again. It just seemed like they were journeying quite a lot to me. But seeing it the second time around, I guess I could deal with it. It wasn't, like I said, entirely great, fantastic movie. But I will give it more credit than obviously other people do. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time spent here on this channel, and let me know what you thought of the film down below. I picked the film up for $5, so it wasn't like I was losing anything by getting. Well, so what? A measly $5 bucks, but at least I'm owning the damn thing. So, in any case, I really love the cover to this. I did enjoy the dinosaurs for what they were, but check the film out in your own on your own and enjoy it for what it is. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?